Has Europe always leaned on the United States for its security? This question takes us on a journey back to the end of World War II. The world was a different place then. Europe lay in ruins, devastated by the most brutal conflict in human history. Security was not just a concern, it was a necessity for survival. In this aftermath, the United States emerged as a global superpower, economically strong and militarily potent. Europe, on the other hand, was struggling to rebuild, its resources and morale depleted. The balance of power had shifted, and with it the dynamics of global security. It was against this backdrop that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, was born in 1949. The founding nations, including the United States, Canada, and 10 European countries, shared a common goal to safeguard their freedom and security through political and military means. NATO was more than just a mutual defense pact. It was a statement to the world, and in particular to the Soviet Union, that aggression against any member would be met with collective resistance. The United States, with its robust economy and military might, was the cornerstone of this alliance. The initial purpose of NATO was to secure Europe from potential Soviet aggression. Europe, still recovering from the war and economically frail, needed the military protection that the United States could provide. The United States in turn saw NATO as a way to prevent the spread of communism, a dominant concern during the Cold War. The relationship was symbiotic. Europe received much-needed security, and the United States gained strategic allies in its ideological battle against the Soviet Union. This alliance, born out of necessity and common objectives, laid the groundwork for the enduring bond between Europe and the United States. Thus, the foundation for Europe's reliance on the United States for security was set in the aftermath of World War II. As we move forward in our exploration, we'll see how this relationship evolved over the years, adapting to changing geopolitical landscapes and confronting new security challenges. But that, dear listeners, is a story for another scene. How did the Cold War intensify Europe's dependence? Let's delve into this fascinating period of history, a time of intense geopolitical tension and rivalry. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a struggle for global dominance. This rivalry was not just ideological. It was about military might, economic power, and global influence. Europe, scarred by 2 world wars and trapped in the middle, found itself in a precarious position. As the Iron Curtain descended across the continent, dividing East from West, the United States stepped up as Europe's primary security guarantor. The formation of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, in 1949 was a testament to this commitment. The US, through NATO, pledged to defend Europe against any Soviet aggression. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 was a chilling demonstration of how close the world was to nuclear war. The United States, in its role as NATO's leading power, was instrumental in diffusing the crisis, further emphasizing its pivotal role in Europe's security. Then there was the Berlin Wall, a stark symbol of the East-West divide. The wall's construction in 1961 intensified Europe's sense of vulnerability. The US responded by bolstering its military presence in the region, standing as a bulwark against any potential Soviet incursions. Over the course of the Cold War, Europe's dependence on the United States for security deepened. The US, with its formidable military might and global influence, was seen as the only power capable of countering the Soviet Union. Europe, in turn, became a key theater in the U.S. quote, S strategic calculus, a front line in the struggle against communism. Fast forward to the end of the Cold War and the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. As the dust settled, one thing became clear. The Cold War era cemented the U.S. quote, S role as Europe's primary security provider. Did Europe's reliance on the United States for security diminish after the Cold War? This is a question that has dominated policy discussions for decades. Post-Cold War Europe saw a significant shift in the geopolitical landscape. The dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 gave birth to a myriad of new nations, each with unique security needs. Yet despite the changing dynamics, Europe's reliance on the United States for its security did not wane. Why, you ask? Let's delve into this. For one, the United States' military presence in Europe, a legacy of the Cold War, continued unabated. US military bases strategically scattered across the continent served as a tangible reminder of America's commitment to Europe's security. These bases not only acted as a deterrent to potential aggressors, but also fostered a sense of security among European nations, further cementing their reliance on the US. Then we have the Balkan Wars of the 1990s, a grim testament to Europe's ongoing security challenges. During this turbulent period, Europe found itself in the throes of ethnic conflicts and political upheaval. The United States, under the auspices of NATO, played a pivotal role in quelling these conflicts. From leading peacekeeping missions to brokering peace agreements, America's involvement was instrumental in restoring stability in the region. This intervention underscored the United States' integral role in European security and in many ways reaffirmed Europe's dependence on American military might. It also highlighted the limitations of Europe's own security apparatus, further underlining the necessity of a strong transatlantic alliance. In conclusion, the post-Cold War era, rather than diminishing Europe's reliance on the US for security, has in fact amplified it. The changing geopolitical landscape, coupled with persistent security challenges, has necessitated a continued US presence in Europe. So here we are years after the Cold War, and the question remains, despite the end of the Cold War, Europe's reliance on the US for security has persisted. And it seems likely to continue as we move forward into an increasingly complex and unpredictable global landscape. What about today? Does Europe still rely on the United States for its security? Indeed, the complexity of contemporary security challenges has only increased Europe's reliance on the United States. Let's take a look at a few examples. Terrorism, for instance, is a threat that knows no borders. In this battle, Europe and the United States stand shoulder to shoulder, sharing intelligence and coordinating responses to prevent attacks and protect citizens. Then there's the cyber realm, a new frontier teeming with threats. From disrupting critical infrastructure to stealing sensitive information, cyber threats pose a significant challenge. Here again, the United States, with its advanced cyber capabilities, plays a crucial role in protecting Europe from these digital predators. Whether it's traditional threats or new-age challenges, the United States remains a key partner for Europe in maintaining peace and security. Thus, it's clear that in today's volatile world, the bond between Europe and the United States is more crucial than ever. In the face of contemporary security challenges, Europe continues to lean on the United States. To summarize, Europe's reliance on the United States for security has deep historical roots. We've traced this relationship back to the aftermath of the Second World War, when Europe was left vulnerable and needed a strong ally. This alliance intensified in the face of the Cold War as Europe felt the looming threat of Soviet expansionism. Even after the Iron Curtain fell, the reliance persisted. The US continued to provide Europe with security as new challenges emerged in the form of terrorism and cyber threats. Today, despite the changing geopolitical landscape, this reliance continues to shape Europe's security strategy. It's a testament to the strength and resilience of the transatlantic partnership, born out of necessity, but maintained due to shared values and mutual interests. As we've seen, Europe's reliance on the United States for security is not a recent development, but a long-standing trend that has evolved over time.